This is Real Battles, Real People. I'm your host, Christian Betancourt. Josh Bertrand. How you doing, sir?
Good. How are you?
Doing pretty good. And yourself?
Not too bad. Not too bad.
Yeah. So can you walk with us through introducing yourself?
Sure. So my name is Josh Bertrand. I actually have my own podcast that I do. I've been kind of just like accumulating into the lifestyle. I've been doing it a little bit, almost about a year now, a little over a year. Um, I'm a mechanic on the civilian side and on the military side. And I actually just came back from my first overseas deployment. So getting back accumulated to the civilian lifestyle again. And yeah, it's been a crazy past year. And now just kind of getting back on my feet again.
Okay. Welcome back.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah. So can you share a little bit about your deployment?
Sure. So we were over in Europe, Poland specifically, and we were kind of bouncing around a little bit from different countries. We were there originally just kind of like like how the army goes because I'm army. We're always there stationed in different countries to kind of help support other countries with like NATO and stuff. Obviously can't get into like too crazy details, but we were assisting a little bit with like the Ukraine war, and I ended up in Romania for a little while, and it was just kind of like I'm a mechanic, so I was working on all the trucks, and all the trucks were delivering like the goods and services that they needed. And yeah, it was pretty cool. I mean, for the most part, I didn't go on like any like too many missions because I was back at the shop most of the time, like working on the trucks. But I did get to go out and I got to explore, and it was really cool. It's different lifestyle changes, the language, the currency, it's a whole nother world, and you don't really see what's going on or experience it until you've actually visited those countries and talked to the people.
Yeah. And what was your experience being out there?
So So my experience was different. So I actually got used. I made some friends while I was actually over there. They got to introduce me to like their lifestyle, their food, their language, the clothing. They had like festivals and stuff going on, different parties, and it was difficult because like they speak a different language. There's a decent amount of them that actually speak English, so like you could get around. Like you and then we had like our phone that we could use a translator with, so that way you could at least if they couldn't pick up what you were saying, you could translate to them, and they'd be like, oh yeah, go down the street, take a left, whatever the case was that you were trying to do. But it wasn't too hard to get around. It was more of just like you're in a new country, so you have to learn and adapt and overcome all the obstacles that are over there.
Okay. So how did the transaction from military life to civilian life, uh, have you felt any different?
So I've been home for about a week. The time change was very challenging at first because you go from your regular like at least it's for most people it's a 9 to 5, but like I worked from usually like 6 o'clock till 3 to 5 o'clock in the afternoon, and then going over there where I was like 7 hours ahead. You're trying to adapt to their time change, which wasn't too bad. I would have to say that coming back home was definitely the biggest challenge. Where a lot of people say it's the other way around. I was getting absolutely tired at like 3 or 4 o'clock in the afternoon when coming back home, and I was just like I'm ready for bed, and everyone's like it's only midday. I was just like it sucks. And then I'd take like quick naps and stuff like that, and I go to bed at like 10 o'clock, and I'm waking up at anywhere between 1 and 3 o'clock in the morning because over there it's like 7, 8 o'clock, and I'm like, oh my God, this is tough. And it took me, it's taken me a while. I'm still doing it. I think last night was the first night I actually got like a full night's sleep, and it's it's not easy, especially because like when you're overseas, everything for the most part is like handed to you. You know, the food, the coffee, the you know, you're told what to do every single day. You know, the gym's right outside, and you know, you have a boss basically everywhere you go. And it, you know, it's like you got to ask for permission to go different places. You know, you have a curfew at night, and there's a lot of rules, and there's always someone ahead of you. You gotta, you know, you say, hey, I'm going here, I'm going there. You got to ask for permission for everything, or at least tell them where you're going. And now I'm home and I have my freedom again. And it's just like I'm so used to being on my phone 24/7, be like, hey, I'm going here, this time, this place. I got to tell you where I'm going. I don't have my own car. You know, I got to walk everywhere pretty much, unless you're like, you know, and they come here and I'm like, I got my car. I can stay out past midnight. I can, you know, I don't have to ask for permission. I got to make my own food again. It's just, it's a challenge. You got to get used to it. You know, it's great to be home, but you definitely gotta get used to the civilian lifestyle again and what you originally left.
Yeah, the whole chain of command. It's taking
Yes.
orders, following through and stuff like that. What was your rank in the military?
I'm a sergeant, E5.
Sergeant. Okay. Now, can you walk us through before? How long were you in the army for?
So in February, this will be 11 years.
11 years. So can we track back before the military? What was life before you joined the military?
So life before the military was extremely difficult for me. I was born with ADD, which is now called ADHD, processing disorder and anxiety. And then I also have undiagnosed working memory deficit. Uh, and a lot of those disabilities we actually kind of forgot about because I was so hyper focused on the ADD. But growing up, I always wanted to be a mechanic. I wanted to follow my dad's footsteps. So I ended up going to the school for about a year for a trade school to learn how to do that. And so I basically just like worked on vehicles all the time, you know. But my ADD has always controlled my life and always I've lost so many jobs because like I'll be doing stuff and like I'll be wrenching and I have a hard time paying attention because I'm always not able to focus like a normal person, unfortunately. And as good as I was at my job, I would make a lot of mistakes because I'd be working on the cars and I'd get distracted very easily and I tend to forget to do things. And you know, I long story short, I end up getting fired from almost every single job I've ever had. Like literally, I think I can't even count how many jobs I've had, maybe 30, which is an abnormal number. And I mean, I still kept pushing. You know what I mean? Like I can't give up. You know, you got to pay the bills, you got to live your life. And so I would just go from job to job to job with the expectation that I'm going to get fired, which is, you know, pretty sucky feeling, but I knew it was going to happen. And one day it got to the point where I was about 23 years old, and I was just like, you know, I'm fed up. I can't do this anymore. Like this is no matter what I do. I tried medication as a young kid. I don't even remember what happened because how young I was. I don't know if like the insurance didn't cover it from my parents because I didn't have insurance. I was too young, or like I remember that some of the medication wasn't working, and it was just too between not working and too expensive. They just I to this day I don't even exactly remember why I stopped taking it, but I just remember I stopped taking it, and I struggled throughout my entire life, no matter what I did. And I almost gave up on like myself. I broke down. I got depressed. It got to the point where I was thinking suicide. Like I always promised myself that I would never go that far, but the thought was starting to come to mind. And I promised myself that if I ever got to that dark spot, or that dark place, that I would literally drop everything I have and up and move and start a new life. At the time, I did not have enough money to do that. So I needed a way out, and I didn't have a way out. And the only thing that I could like think of at the time was my buddy had mentioned the military. And because like he had joined the army, he was in for a couple years at the time, and I was just like, you know, Let's see what this is about because this is something different. Called him up. We met, told me what it was about, and how like you go to basic training, they send you there, and it's a whole different lifestyle. And I was just like, this might be my free ride out because I need a change. I need something that's sustainable, and I need to get out of here. Like I need to get out of Massachusetts. I need to get out of my I'm stuck. And I called him up. I'm like, hey, how do I do this? Where do I start? Because I had no idea. He's just like, I'll bring in my recruiter. We'll talk to him, see how it is, and we'll see if this is a fit for you. So I ended up, I think it was like a week later, I ended up going to meet the recruiter, told me about it and everything like that. And it's just like, yes, like we're gonna just send you to basic training. We're gonna train you. You're gonna, become military and go from there. You'll end up getting deployed hopefully, and it's gonna change your life. And I'm like, you know what? Sign me up. Let's do this. And it was the best decision I ever made. It changed my life. It gave me a different mindset. It was just like, I felt like I had a purpose. With everything I've done with it, I've actually made money off of it, probably more money than I would have had at my civilian job. So it was like it was a big ego boost, and I have absolutely no regrets. Some things that we do absolutely sucks, but it literally saved my life.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Yeah, you came from the bottom and you went up. You would not stop. That's resilience.
Yeah, I've always had the mentality that I never want to give up. Like it's always been engraved in my brain. Even my dad complimented me the other day. He's just like, the one thing that I admire about you is that no matter how bad life is, you never give up. And I was just like, I can't because it's just like you drop everything and you have the end, and then what's left? You got to keep pushing.
Yeah. Did the ADHD ever affect you in the military?
Uh, Not as bad because it was at least with my MOS, the job is a little bit slower because a lot of like the full-time guys end up doing like the majority of the work unless we're on deployment. With the deployment, it definitely affected me as much, but I always had like someone there with me to kind of like help remind me and like help pay attention, and because it's a lot of teamwork. You have your battle buddies, and so like 9 times out of 10, you're always paired with someone. So like like, oh hey, we're gonna send you on this job and we're gonna do this, but you're gonna have a battle buddy with you. Like so almost everywhere you went, there was a battle buddy. Almost every job that you got put on, there was a battle buddy. So it's just like you don't have that opportunity to necessarily lose focus. And if you are having a bad time focusing, you're always like, hey, I need you to double check my work. I need you to make sure that I'm not messing anything up. I'm not need to make sure that I'm not forgetting anything because these vehicles are going down the road, and if something breaks, you can kill somebody. It's no joke. And having that in the back of your head, it's a scary thought. So like, and it got to the point where I told people, I was like, listen, I have this problem. I understand you might not get the problem because you don't have it, and maybe this isn't like a common issue because a lot of people have ADD or ADHD, but mine is like pretty severe. Like I need to go on medication for this. It's not good. And I tell people, I'm like, listen, whether you believe me or not, I have this problem. I have a hard time paying attention, so I need your assistance. If you see me pulling you aside to help me out, whatever like that, that's why. Like I'm not afraid to ask. And so I think like on the civilian side, you don't really have that. Like you're on your own. It's like good luck. You can ask like your coworkers to kind of help and stuff like that. But in the career field I am, there's not many people that are going to double check your work. It's just like you fix the truck and then see you later. Bye. Military side's a lot different. You have more time on your hand. You can like pull people aside and be like, hey, I did this brake job. Can you make sure that I put the shoes and the springs on because I was in my head while I was doing it? And last thing we want is a soldier going down the road and the truck rolling over because you messed up.
Yeah. Do you see yourself making this military career longer, maybe retiring at a later age?
So because of the situation I'm in, especially because I know like I'm not active duty and National Guard, the longer you stay in, the more benefits you get, the more retirement you get. A lot of people say that they're going to just do their 20 and get out. I see myself doing probably at least 25 years at the minimum, maybe even longer, depending on like kind of how it goes. The only reason why I would probably get out a little bit earlier or not earlier, like I plan on doing like my 20 basically no matter what, but the only way that I wouldn't go longer than 20 years is if I start my own business where I won't have to worry about the benefits and the money as much and, kind of go at it in that direction.
What businesses are you interested in?
So the first business that I had actually started that I have to re-pick up again is I am a line dance instructor. So I'm not sure if you know what that is.
No.
No, have you ever heard of country line dancing?
Yeah.
Okay, I instruct those. I teach it.
Oh, okay.
Yep, yep. So that was the first business that I kicked off. I started it with my ex-girlfriend, and then she kind of like took it off on her own, and I'm going to be starting it back now that I'm back home. I'll be going kind of solo with that. So that's one thing that I'm going to be bringing back. I just bought a professional camera, so I want to learn how to take professional pictures and become a photographer. I am going to be going for my real estate license, so hopefully be able to get a job doing that, and maybe even open up my own my own brokerage. And then I'm hoping the last thing is like my podcast kicks off. I started the podcast literally right before I left the deployment, and then it was like I had a video of me like getting all the equipment, testing the equipment, and then like I didn't go like crazy with it, but it was more like okay, I bought like the my first set of microphones, and then I bought like six more microphones, and then I had everything all situated, and then I left for the deployment. So I couldn't really continue it that much, but I ended up buying like a portable microphone so I could go overseas and kind of continue it. So it wasn't like a professional setup, but it worked. And I got a lot of my battle buddies on there and talking about their life and then like, the whole deployment. So like I could continue it, throughout the deployment, but it wasn't like as legit as like now that I'm home, I can kick it back off again. So I have all these ideas. Maybe it's because the ADHD in me just kind of bouncing around, trying all these different ideas. But I'm hoping that at least one of them are going to stick through.
Yeah. I'm not gonna ask you to show me how to line dance, but
It's a lot of fun. It's a great way to meet people too.
yeah. Did you do any type of when you were you podcasting in the area that you were in your deployment?
Yes. So we had a USO on base, and I was actually doing it in the USO for two reasons. One, because it was nice to have like a table and a seat and a place to do it, and then two, obviously with the whole like OPSEC of like I don't want to video record outside where you can see the base and like where the civilians and stuff like that would be like, oh, like let's figure out what this area is. So I made it look as very sneaky and professional as possible.
Do you have any advice for, veterans that are struggling? What advice would you give them to encourage them, you know, to do something for themselves?
I mean, I got plenty of advice, but my number one advice is please, please reach out. If you are struggling physically, mentally, there's always someone there for you, especially because us veterans or, the military, we understand, we know how it feels. I mean, we've taken so many suicide classes, it's not even funny. It's like it's almost like, all right, we're doing this again. Like, come on. But it's real, as much as like we get sick of listening to the classes because we see it so much. It's legit. It's real, and I can understand and relate where you feel like you don't have anyone to talk to, but then at the end of the day, you talk to someone because you're like, hey, I just need to talk to someone, and someone's going to be there for you. Whether you think someone's going to be there for you or not, there's someone there for you no matter what. A close friend, relative, whatever, like please reach out. I've seen so many people struggle. I've seen so many people get depressed, so many people that attempt suicide or even pull the trigger. We had one person before we showed up in Europe that actually had committed suicide, and they couldn't. I don't know if they had told someone or whatever, but they could have prevented it. They have like classes, you talk to someone, go see a counselor. Like, please just reach out. It is. I get it. Like, you don't want to bother people, but like, guess what? It's committing suicide is almost a selfish act because the amount of people that you affect when you do that is just as bad as you committing it yourself. Your friends and family would be like, I wish I could have done something about it, and then they have to live with that for the rest of their life. It sucks. It's just I found out that there was someone who, it wasn't even military, but one of the translators that was over there, the English Polish translator. He had his whole life together, and I'm friends with some of the translators, so I talk to him on a regular basis. And this was he was a 23-year-old kid who had his whole life planned, and he hung himself. We found out that he was in his barracks and he hung himself. This was just recent. They actually just went to the funeral, and he actually had called his friend saying that he was going to do it, and they called the police, and the police wasn't quick enough, and it was too late. And like, so at least he had said something, but like the police couldn't move quick enough. And it was just like, and this is someone who's not even in the military. So I can imagine what the military people are thinking in their head, like what you've seen overseas. If you ever like, saw a war or something bad ever happen, it's like we all need help, whether it's a little or it's a lot. Please, you, I'll even give you my personal phone number if you need someone to talk to and reach out to. I don't care. Like, I would rather help you out, some random stranger across the world, prevent you from killing yourself or like being in a depression, and a quick 10-minute phone call, and I will try my best to make you feel better and save your life. Like, I don't want this to keep happening.
Thank you for sharing that. It was a powerful message to the audience. I didn't know that they were doing that in the military, that they were showing um what do you call that? The PowerPoints. They were showing the suicide on power.
Yep. So everything's PowerPoints. We have to take, I think it's like at least once a month. Even when we're back home, when we have drills, they have they have the PowerPoints for everything, whether it's like sexual assault, whether it's suicide, whether it's financial problems, whether it's lifestyle problems, depression, like everything, every type of prevention that they want to do with the military, they have. I'm kind of surprised they don't have this on the civilian side, but it's obviously a different lifestyle, and you is a little bit more controlled with military because they can kind of force you to do it, versus if you want to do it on the civilian side, you got to go to a counselor for something like that.
Your message definitely touched me. Like I started going backwards. I started thinking about, all the guys that, committed suicide and stuff like that. Um, there needs to be more information out there. And I'm happy that, the Army National Guard is doing that. Yeah, it might be boring, that by PowerPoints, but uh it's very useful, because there's a lot of veterans I've spoken to that they also have that well, I'm not gonna kill myself, but I feel like I want to kill myself, you know?
Yep.
Yeah. As we close out, what role has been your support with family, friends, fellow veterans that played in your journey?
So it's kind of been like a back and forth thing because um my one of my biggest role models has probably been my dad because he's struggled through his entire life with even at a young age, and seeing how I mean, he's even got hurt. He had to retire early because because work had messed him up, and seeing how much of a drive that he has is kind of able to give me the same drive. So it's like whenever I am struggling with something, I always go to him. But then because I'm like, I want to be like that for somebody else. I have my role model. I have someone who pushes me and always tries to be like, try this, try that, or do this, do that. Don't give up. And it's just like I use that motivation to help other people, whether they listen to me or not. It's more like, don't give up. Try this, try that. Go to counseling. Uh, I don't care what you do, just don't give up. Because once you give up, that's it. It's usually hard to pull back out. And even if you do give up, I want you to come to me and be like, let me see what I can do to help. I might not be able to do everything, but I'm going to do my best to help you out. I try. I'm very like I don't want to say I'm selfish in my own like motivation, but it's just like I definitely try to push forward in my own life, but I'm always willing to step aside to help someone who's in need. And it's like I don't know, I can't even say like enough of just kind of like I really it sucks when people do throw in the towel and they give up. And I wish I could help everybody, but some people just don't know how to reach out, and it's all about timing. It's like keep pushing, keep pushing, keep pushing.
Yeah, that's what real battles for real people is for.
If you gotta try changing careers, try changing, your current job. If you have to go back to school, hell, if you're young enough, join the military. Look what happened with me. It saved my life, and I'm the first person to tell someone to not join because it's not right for you, but I'm also the first person to push you and push you and push you if you need it and it's something for you because the military is no joke. It's not for everybody. But if you're in a dark place or you need to get out or you need a lifestyle change or maybe you even just want to serve your country just to serve your country, I highly recommend doing it. I regret joining not I wish I went sooner. I went later, but I also wasn't planning on joining the military. It wasn't even a thought. I was just like I like yes, I love my country, but at the time had a very young mind. I'm like I don't want to go die for my country. Like I want to live. I want to experience life and stuff like that. And that I realized it's not just a lot of people think it's all war. It's not. It's a whole nother experience. Like, yes, the purpose of the military is defend the country, but like you're not signing the dotted line to kill yourself. You're serving your country. You're going out and exploring different things. You're meeting new people. You're literally you meet what you call family. Like you literally like the amount of people that I call my battle buddy. I got people. I can go to. I'm in Massachusetts. I can go to California and go on base and talk to people like they're my brothers and sisters, and I've never even met them. It is a whole nother lifestyle. It
Mhm.
is. I wish I signed up when I was 18, but I signed up when I was 24. So if you have the chance to go earlier, do it. And it's not even like it's a lifetime thing. You can sign up for a couple-year contract, and if you hate it, get out. It's that easy.
Well, thank you so much for your time and sharing your experience on my show. Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
No problem. Thank you for having me.
This is real battles, real people. Take care, everybody.